Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Shortly after the disappointment of Ang Lee's Hulk, it was announced that the Jade Goliath was getting a reboot. But little did we know that the reboot was going to be produced by the newly formed Marvel Studios, and that it was going to be one of the tie-in films to what may be one of the biggest movies of 2012. Legionnaires, prepare thyselves for the powerful, the unstoppable, the incredible Hulk. Now, even though I enjoy this film, I don't really count it among my favorites. So I don't really have a favorite character, line, or scene. Instead, I plan to cover this one with a little segment that I like to call The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But before we get to that, let's talk about the plot. The story of the Incredible Hulk is by far one of the simplest and yet most compelling in the comic book world. Good-natured scientist Bruce Banner is accidentally bombarded with gamma radiation during an experiment gone awry. The accident causes him to transform into an unstoppable green monster every time he gets angry, agitated, or scared. Now Bruce is always on the run as both the military and S.H.I.E.L.D. make efforts to either capture or destroy him. All the while Bruce desperately searches for a cure to tame the Incredible Hulk. The Good. As I said, I enjoy this film and I honestly feel that the good outweighs the bad. For starters, Edward Norton as Bruce Banner is excellent. He does a really good job of making you feel the tragedy and the burden of being the Hulk. And Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky was a great choice. One great actor going up against another. Now that is epic. The special effects were one of the major improvements from the previous movie, where the Hulk looked bloated and weightless, like he was a helium balloon. Here, he looks proportionate and heavy, as the Hulk should look. Not to mention that he is voiced by the original Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno. Hulk! Smash! That just brings a tear to my eye.
You are the man.
God bless you, brother.
The action sequences are also spectacular. I'm particularly partial to the final battle between the Hulk and the Abomination. Watching it, I couldn't help but be reminded of when Superman fought Doomsday. Wouldn't it be cool if they had a scene like that in a Superman movie? Oh well. Hopefully Zack Snyder will make it up to us. The Bad. As my best friend Paul, aka Dr. Nemesis, likes to point out, this movie follows a very predictable pattern. Bruce is on the run, Bruce gets in a jam, he turns into the Hulk, problem solved. While I agree that this is simplistic and brainless, it really doesn't bother me, cause that's pretty much the formula of most of the Hulk comics. Now, I know a lot of you prefer the destructive Hulk that is constantly getting into brawls with other superheroes, and you were somewhat disappointed that we didn't get to see that in this movie. Firstly, I agree. Secondly, odds are we're going to get to see that Hulk in the Avengers movie, so there you go. Now, on the subject of the rest of the cast, I mean no disrespect to Liv Tyler and William Hurt. I like them both, but this is an area in which I freely admit that the Ang Lee movie was far superior, as I feel that Sam Elliott and Jennifer Connelly were far better choices for General Ross and Betty. Again, I'm not saying that Hurt and Tyler were bad. I just feel that Elliott and Connelly were better suited for these characters. Holy moly, I'm more than halfway through the video, and you know what that means. Stanley cameo!
More interesting, it's possible gamma sickness. Milwaukee. Man drank one.
Excelsior! Oh!
The Ugly. My least favorite aspect about this movie is all the awkward Avengers tie-in moments that were shoehorned in. The most blatant being the super soldier serum. If you've read the comics, you know that this is not how Emil Blonsky becomes the Abomination. So you know that they just threw Captain America's super soldier serum into the mix to tie it into the Avengers movie. It's not horrible, but it's still pretty clumsy. Not as clumsy as the movie that I'm covering next week, but we'll get to that then. There's also the infamous moment where the movie is pathetically sequel begging, in which gamma irradiated blood falls on Samuel Stearns, and he starts to mutate into the Hulk's arch nemesis, the Leader. And then we never see Dr. Stearns again. Now this is especially sad since we all knew deep down that this movie was not going to get a sequel. And I'm pretty sure that the filmmakers knew this, since most big budget movies have their sequel greenlit right when they are completed. If you want some examples of such movies, how about Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America? All three had their sequels greenlit upon completion. You know what was the one Marvel movie that didn't have this? The Incredible Hulk! Which makes this scene a big fat worthless tease that should have been left on the cutting room floor. Alright, I'm ranting too much. I really need to just relax and look at some balls. Balls. Bonus Avengers lead-in scenes.
Reload. Reload.
Smell of stale beer and defeat. You know, I hate to say I told you so, General, but that super soldier program was put on ice for a reason. I've always felt that hardware was much more reliable.
Stark.
General.
You always wear such nice suits.
Touche. I hear you have an unusual problem.
You should talk.
You should listen. What if I told you we were putting a team together?
Who's we?
Alright, while this might not be my favorite balls, it's still pretty damn awesome. Seeing Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark walk into that bar and interact with General Ross is officially the first cinematic comic book character crossover, and it was glorious! Final verdict. Ultimately, I still really enjoyed this film. It's like The Fugitive of superhero movies. And come on, tell me you didn't get a geekgasm when they played the theme from the original show. Okay, seriously, I can't go any further without addressing the burning question. How do I feel about them replacing Edward Norton with Mark Ruffalo? Frankly, I'm okay with it. As much as I admire and respect Edward Norton, and as great of a job that he did in this movie, he still didn't make this role his own. I'll put it to you this way. I would definitely have a problem if they replaced Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, or Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, or Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. All three of these actors made those parts their own through their distinct performances, making it highly improbable that any actor could take over for them. Edward Norton, with all his collective talent, did not do that. So I look forward to seeing what Ruffalo will bring to the part. And besides, they still have Lou Ferrigno doing the Hulk's voice, so as far as I'm concerned, the Avengers will be together. Anywho, I give this one a 7. If you're into the current comic book movies, you'll definitely dig it.
Iran smash!
Check out my website, suckers!
Como vão as coisas, pessoal? Eu tenho um monte de coisas novas para ensinar a vocês.
Można jest falą.